On the edge of the galaxy there was a space station called Cora 7. It was always busy. Aliens of all shapes and colors walked through its glowing halls. Loud voices, bright lights, and the smell of strange food filled the air. But in one quiet corner, someone sat alone. Small, thin, and covered in dirt. A little alien girl. No one looked at her. No one asked if she needed help. To them, she didn't matter. She was just a shadow in the corner. Forgotten. Then came a human named Jack. Jack was not special. He was a cargo pilot moving supplies from planet to planet. Tired, hungry, and ready to rest, he walked through the station without thinking. But then he stopped. His eyes locked on the small girl sitting on the cold floor. She wasn't like the others. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes big and glowing softly blue. She looked scared, and somehow sad. Jack looked around. "Is she with anyone?" he asked an alien guard. The guard laughed. "Her? She's always there. No parents, no records. We don't know what species she is, doesn't talk, useless." Jack didn't like that answer. He walked to her slowly and bent down. "Hey," he said kindly. "You okay?" The girl looked up at him, her eyes wide. And then, for the first time, she spoke. "Yes," she whispered. "Now I am." Jack's heart jumped. She spoke perfect English, clear, soft. He looked around. "You speak English?" he asked, shocked. The girl nodded. "Only to you." "How do you know my language?" Jack asked. She paused. "Because you saw me." Jack was confused. He took off his jacket and gave it to her. "You're freezing," he said. She held the jacket like it was treasure. Then he handed her a protein bar from his pocket. She ate it fast, like she hadn't had food in days. Maybe weeks. "You got a name?" Jack asked. "Ariva," she said. Strange name, but it fit her. Soft and quiet. Suddenly, the lights above flickered. A low hum moved through the air. People around them looked up, annoyed. Power failures were rare on Cora 7. Ariva's eyes turned darker. "They know now," she said. Jack frowned. "Who?" "The ones who watched," she whispered. "They saw you help me." Before he could ask more, 2 station guards approached. "Human," one said. "Step away. That creature is dangerous." "She's just a kid." Jack stood up. "She's hungry and cold. She's not a child. We've seen her here for years. She never ages, never talks. People who get near her vanish." "That's nonsense," Jack snapped. The second guard leaned closer. "You have no idea what you've done." Jack grabbed Ariva's hand. "Then I'll find out." He walked away with her. Fast. The guards didn't follow, but Jack could. Feel eyes on him. Too many eyes. In the hallway, he took her to his ship, an old freighter named Windrunner. Once inside, she looked around, touching the metal walls like they were made of stars. "This place feel right," she whispered. "You've been alone a long time, haven't you?" Jack asked. She nodded. He sat her down in the co-pilot seat. "Why me, Ariva? Why speak now?" She looked into his eyes. "Because your kind always forgets, but not you. Not yet." Jack's head spun. "Forget what?" "The first flame," she said. "What is that?" Ariva didn't answer. She closed her eyes and began to hum. The tune was soft, strange, but somehow familiar. Jack had never heard it before, yet he felt like he had. A memory, a dream. Suddenly, the ship's control screen flickered. Strange. Symbols ran across it. Symbols not from any known language. Jack leaned closer. Some of them looked like old cave drawings found on Earth, ones that were never understood. Ariva opened her eyes. "The galaxy has forgotten us, forgotten what humans were meant to do." "And what's that?" Jack asked. "To remember," she said. "The pie." Room felt cold, the air still. Outside the window, Jack saw something move, a black shape in the stars. It had no form, no light, just darkness. Watching, Ariva looked at it without fear. "They're here now," she said. "Who are they?" Jack asked again. "The ones who erased us." Jack stood up. He didn't know what he was stepping into, but he knew one thing. He had started something. and there was no going back. As the ship's lights dimmed and the stars outside shifted, Jack looked at Ariva and said, "Whatever happens next, you're not alone anymore." And in that moment, the girl no one saw smiled. She had been waiting a long time for someone to look, and now the galaxy would finally remember. The stars outside the ship flickered like dying lights. Inside the Windrunner, Jack sat in the pilot seat, staring at the strange symbols glowing on the screen. They hadn't stopped since Ariva hummed her strange song. The lights pulsed in time with her breath, like the ship was alive. And listening. Jack had seen a lot in space. Pirates, black holes, alien wars. But nothing like this. He turned to Ariva, who now sat quietly beside him. Her silver skin glowed softly in the dim light. She was calm. Too calm. "What are those? Symbols?" he asked. "They are memories," she replied. Left behind before the silence, Jack frowned. "Whose memories?" She looked up at him. "Yours and mine." Before Jack could ask more, the ship lights flickered again. A strange, high-pitched sound came from the comms, like whispering voices speaking all at once, layered over each other. Jack shut off the main power. Still, the sound didn't stop. "Ariva, what's happening?" "They're coming closer," she said. "They want to see if you'll run, or remember." "Remember what?" Jack said sharply. She didn't answer. She reached out and touched the control screen. The symbols changed. They began to form a shape, a map. Lines pointed outward. One path leading far beyond the known star systems. Jack recognized one symbol. At the edge, Earth. He leaned closer. "That's Earth?" Ariva nodded. "It is the beginning, and the last piece." The comms crackled again. This time a voice broke through. It was deep, mechanical, and cold. Human. "You are not permitted to hold the Forgotten One." Jack's blood ran cold. "Who is this?" he said into the mic. "Release her or vanish like the others." Jack cut the comms. He looked at Ariva. "Who are they?" She looked into his eyes, serious. "They are the Watchers. They erase those who ask too many questions. They destroyed my kind." "But why?" Jack asked. "Because we knew what was coming. We saw the shape of time, and we tried to warn the galaxy." A small tear rolled down her cheek, shining like a silver pearl. No one listened. "They called us liars. They called us cursed. So the Watchers silenced us." Jack clenched his fists. "But why me? Why speak to a human?" "Because your people carry a spark," she said. "Something old. Something hidden even from yourselves." Jack paced the room. It was too much. Too fast. But something in him believed her. Not just because of the strange symbols or the voice on the comms, but because of the song she hummed. He had heard it before, not in space, but as a child, when his mother used to hum to him while he slept. It was the same melody. But how? Ariva looked up. "Your kind knew us once, long ago, before memory, before light." Suddenly, a loud thud hit the side of the ship. Jack jumped. The sensors lit up. A ship had latched onto them. "They've found us," Ariva said quietly. Jack rushed to the control panel. The external cam showed a black ship. No markings, no lights. It looked more like a shadow than a machine. And from the shape crawled across the hull toward the airlock. Jack grabbed his old plasma cutter. "If they think they're taking you, they'll have to fight me first." Ariva stood, her eyes glowing brighter now. "They won't fight you," she said. "Then what will they do?" "They will show you." Suddenly the airlock opened, but no one came through. Instead, light poured into the ship. A white light. Too bright to be natural. Jack shielded his eyes. He heard whispers again. But this time, they spoke in English. "You helped the last memory. You must forget or follow." Then silence. The light vanished. The airlock closed on its own. Jack looked at Ariva, stunned. "What was that?" "A test," she said. "They wanted to see if you feared the unknown. You passed." Jack sat down slowly, heart racing. "What happens now?" Ariva turned back to the map on the screen. One path now glowed brighter than the others. "You." "Take me home," she said. Jack looked at the glowing path leading into uncharted space. He had a choice: turn around and leave her behind like everyone else had, or follow the path, knowing nothing would ever be the same. He looked at her one more time. Small, quiet, alone. "No more running," he said. "Let's find out the truth." Ariva smiled, a soft light in the dark. And so, the human and the forgotten girl flew into the unknown, toward a truth that had waited for them longer than time itself. Jack's ship, Windrunner, moved quietly through the dark. The stars outside were fewer now. Strange shapes floated in the void, shadows that didn't move, didn't blink. The path they followed wasn't marked on any map. It was only visible, through the glowing symbols Ariva had awakened on the screen. Jack sat in silence. His hand rested on the controls, but he didn't feel like the one flying. It felt like the ship knew where to go, like something was guiding them. Behind him, Ariva stared at the stars with her glowing eyes. "We're getting close," she whispered. "To what?" Jack asked. She paused. "To the place where memory sleeps." Jack didn't know what that meant, but he had stopped asking. Every answer just brought more questions. Still, he didn't turn back. Something deep inside told him this was important, bigger than both of them. Suddenly, the ship shook, not from impact, but like it had passed through something. The lights flickered. The stars outside changed. Jack looked out the window. The stars were wrong. Some were too big. Others moved slowly, like they were alive. One star pulsed red, then blinked out entirely. "What is this place?" he asked. Ariva closed her eyes. "This is outside time." Jack didn't understand, but he stayed quiet. Then a shape appeared in the distance. At first it looked like a black dot, but it grew fast. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a ship. It was a structure, massive, ancient, floating in the dark. It looked like a broken wheel with glowing lines along its arms. Strange towers rose from its surface. Pieces were missing, like it had been attacked or forgotten. Jack stared in awe. "What is that?" Ariva stepped forward. "It's where my people tried to warn the galaxy before the Watchers came." Jack brought the ship closer. As they approached, a signal reached the ship. Soft music, the same tune Ariva had hummed. The same one from Jack's childhood. His hands shook. "Why do I know that song?" he asked. "Because the truth is in your blood," she said. "Your people knew us. Long ago, before you even had words." Jack landed the ship on a flat surface of the structure. The air outside was thin, but breathable. Jack took a scanner and stepped out with Ariva behind him. The place was silent, cold but not empty. Lights flickered as they walked. The floor lit up beneath their feet, as if the station remembered them. "This place." "It's not dead," Jack said. "No," Ariva replied. "It's waiting." As they moved deeper inside, symbols appeared on the walls. Some that Jack couldn't read, but some that looked almost human. Not English, but close, like an old version of it. One symbol caught Jack's eye. It was Earth. He reached out and touched it. Suddenly, the walls around them came alive. A glowing figure appeared, tall, thin, made of light. It had no face, but its voice echoed in the air. "You carry the spark." Jack stepped back. "What are you?" "We are the echo." Memory kept alive, waiting for the ones who remember. Ariva bowed her head. "He helped me. He saw me. That means he's ready." The echo turned to Jack. "Then he must see." Light surrounded Jack, his vision blurred. Then everything went black. He stood in a desert now. But it wasn't real. It was a memory. He saw humans, but different, taller, stronger. They walked beside Ariva's people. They built towers together. They laughed. They sang that same strange song. Then came the black ships, the Watchers. They didn't speak. They didn't warn. They just erased. One by one, the towers fell. The people vanished. The last memory was of a child, Ariva, hiding in a chamber while the world outside turned to dust. Then the vision ended. Jack fell to his knees, shaking. That was Earth, he whispered. A long time ago. Arriva helped him stand. It wasn't just Earth, it was the first place, a world that existed before names, before time, where humans and my kind were one. But why don't we remember? Jack asked. Because the Watchers feared what we could become together. Suddenly the floor shook. A deep hum echoed through the structure. They know we're here, Arriva said. They want to silence this place. Forever. Jack ran. Back to the ship with her. The path behind them began to collapse. Towers crumbled, lights dimmed. But as they reached the Windrunner, the Echo's voice returned one last time. You are the bridge. Light the flame. Let the galaxy remember. Jack. Lifted off just as the station began to fall apart. But before it vanished, a beam of golden light shot into the stars. A signal. A message. The truth was no longer hidden. Jack turned to Arriva. What now? She smiled. Now, the galaxy will start to remember. And somewhere, deep in the UE. Stars, the Watchers began to move. They were not happy. The Windrunner flew fast, faster than it ever had before. Jack pushed the engines to their limits, but he wasn't trying to escape. He was trying to spread the truth. Behind him, the ancient structure, the memory station, had collapsed into stardust. But not before sending out a signal. A golden flare that stretched across systems carrying one message. Humanity remembers. Arriva sat beside him, eyes closed, her hands glowing faintly. The symbols had followed them. Now they floated gently across the ship's walls and screens. Jack couldn't read them, but they felt alive. We've done it, Jack said softly. We showed the truth. Arriva opened her eyes slowly. Yes, but now they will come. Jack frowned. The Watchers? She nodded. They are afraid, not of us, but of what humans might become when they remember. As if on cue, the radar beeped. A fast-moving object was coming from behind, then another. And another. Jack's eyes widened. They weren't normal ships. They didn't fly like machines. They moved like shadows with purpose. Brace yourself, he said. The shadows approached. One passed right through the ship like a ghost. For a second, Jack's vision blurred. He saw Earth, but covered in glass. Silent. Cold. Then it vanished. A voice filled the ship. Calm. Emotionless. Human. You've seen what was hidden. You carry the memory. This is your only warning. Forget. Or be erased, Jack shouted. Why? Are you so afraid of the truth? The voice replied. Because truth brings unity, and unity brings resistance. We are order. Memory is chaos. Arriva stood, her hands glowing brighter. Jack, don't listen. They fear what you are, what your kind has always been. Jack narrowed his eyes. And what's that? She smiled. Unstoppable. Jack turned the ship sharply, diving into a nearby asteroid belt. The shadows followed. But the Windrunner was agile, cutting between rocks, diving through narrow tunnels. One shadow crashed into a giant stone, vanishing. Jack grinned. They bleed. Arriva's eyes glowed brighter. Then we fight. But Jack shook his head. Not yet. First, we warn the others. He opened the long-range comms and sent out a message to every nearby system. It was short, powerful. See you. Watchers are real. They erased worlds. They fear human memory. They fear the truth. We remember. We rise. Then he added a file, the vision from the memory station. It showed the Watchers' attack, the lost world, the humans and Arriva's people standing together, the unity, the betrayal, the fall. A few seconds later, replies came in, one from a merchant ship near the edge of space. We saw it. We believe. One from a rebel group on a distant moon. You have friends. Say where. One from a colony that had lost contact with Earth decades ago. We always knew something was wrong. We're with you. Hope sparked across the stars, but with it came danger. The shadows returned. This time they didn't whisper. They roared. Dozens of dark ships surrounded the Windrunner, blocking every path. Jack turned to Arriva. Any ideas? She placed a hand on the screen. There's one place they can't follow, not yet. The screen showed a planet, hidden in a nebula. Jack didn't recognize it. "What's there?" he asked. She looked serious. "The first vault, where the deepest memory lives. Where truth cannot be erased. Can we get there?" She nodded. "If you trust me," Jack smiled. "I trusted you the moment you sang that song." She closed her eyes and hummed the tune again. As the melody filled the ship, the walls shimmered. The symbols glowed brighter. The ship began to disappear, turning into light. The Watchers tried to strike, but their beams passed through empty space. The Windrunner had jumped. Not through normal space, not through hyperspace, through memory. When Jack opened his eyes, they were floating in a sky of shifting colors. Time bent around them, space folded, like paper. And in the distance, a tower stood. It floated above a glowing sea. Strange birds flew around it. And on its walls more human symbols, real, clear English words. Jack read one aloud. His voice shook. "To those who remember, you are not alone." He turned to Ariva, eyes wide. "This is where it begins again," she said. And far behind them in the cold darkness of space, the Watchers screamed. They knew they were too late. The truth was alive, and it was spreading. The Windrunner hovered above the glowing sea. The tower ahead was silent, but alive. It stood tall, untouched by time or war. Strange lights floated around it like fireflies. Ariva called it the first vault, a place built before language, before galaxies had names. Jack stared at the tower. "Is this really from before the Watchers?" Ariva nodded. "This is older than fear, older than forgetting." Jack felt a chill. The sky here shimmered like oil on water. He looked around. No stars, no planets, just endless colors and the sound of quiet waves below. He guided the ship closer to the tower. As they neared, a platform extended from the side, as if the structure had been waiting for them. The moment Jack stepped onto it, something strange happened. He felt warm, not just on his skin, but deep inside his chest. A memory that wasn't his flashed in his mind. A human hand reaching out to a glowing being. Ariva's kind. They were building something together, smiling. Then the vision vanished. Jack looked at Ariva. "You saw it too?" he asked. She nodded. "The vault shows truth to those who seek it." They walked together into the tower. The walls were made of a strange, smooth stone that glowed faintly under their feet. The symbols here were clearer, older, but more human. They stopped at a massive door. It had no lock, no handle. Only one phrase written across it. "Remember who you are." Jack reached out and touched the door. It opened. Inside was a circular room. In the center floated a sphere of light. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Around it, images hovered in the air. Humans and Ariva's people standing side by side, building cities, traveling between stars. Then the scenes darkened. The Watchers came. Huge, shadowy shapes with burning red eyes. They didn't fight like soldiers. They unmade things. With a touch, they erased buildings, turned people into mist, and shattered history. Jack clenched his fists. Why didn't anyone stop them? Ariva stepped forward. "They attacked minds first. They didn't just kill, they made us forget. They buried memory." The sphere pulsed faster now, reacting to Jack's anger. One image floated toward him, a human with strange armor, standing alone before a Watcher. The Watcher spoke. "Forget." But the human replied, "No." Then the Watcher screamed and vanished into dust. Jack's heart pounded. "That's what they're scared of." Ariva nodded. "Yes, resistance, memory, unity. These are their enemies." The sphere glowed brighter. It began spinning slowly, words formed in the air. Human memory key detected. Vault unlocking. Final truth revealed. Jack and Ariva stepped back as the sphere cracked open like an egg. From inside, a small object floated out, a cube made of light and stone, humming gently. The vault spoke. "This is the source seed. It holds the original memory of the first unity, of the bond between your kind and hers. With it, the galaxy can remember. Jack stared at it. What do I do? Protect it, share it, or destroy it? The choice is yours. Before Jack could answer, alarms flashed inside the tower. The colors outside turned red. The sky darkened. Ariva's eyes widened. They found us. Jack grabbed the cube. Can they enter here? No, she said. But they can destroy the space around it. The tower shook. Cracks formed in the floor. The sea below began to boil. We need to go, Jack said. They ran back to the Windrunner and launched into the air. As they lifted off, they saw the edges of the vault collapsing, the strange sky turning into black ash. The Watchers weren't sending ships this time. They were sending space itself to erase the vault. But it was too late. The cube pulsed in Jack's hands. Signals burst out from it. Waves of memory jumping through the stars. Worlds began to remember. Civilizations long silenced stirred. Old allies awakened. And somewhere, deep in forgotten places, other vaults opened. More truths. More fire. Jack looked at Ariva. This will start a war, she nodded. But it's not just a war for power. It's a war for memory. The Watchers chased them, furious. Whole systems turned dark in their path. But the humans weren't running anymore. They were remembering. The Windrunner raced through a collapsing sky. Behind it, the Watchers screamed in silence. They were not just chasing Jack and Ariva. They were chasing the memory Jack now carried. The source seed pulsed in his hands like a living heart. It wanted to be shared. It needed to be seen. Jack flew through deep space, past broken moons and quiet stars. He wasn't running anymore. He was choosing where to fight. We can't keep running forever, he said. Ariva nodded. We won't. But first we need voices. Others who still believe. They landed on a hidden moon called Telras, a place known only to outlaws, rebels, and those who didn't trust the galactic governments. Jack had sent a signal ahead. He didn't know who would answer, but when the ship's doors opened, hundreds were already waiting. Humans from lost colonies, old scientists with gray eyes, warriors with armor scratched from 100 battles, even alien species that once feared Earth, but now stood with hope in their eyes. They didn't ask for proof. They had seen it already, the visions, the memories, the ancient truth spreading through space like fire in dry grass. Ariva stepped forward and spoke. Long ago, the Watchers erased our history. They made us forget who we were, but one human remembered. And now it's time we all do. Jack held the source seed high. It glowed, casting light over everyone. From the back of the crowd, an old man stepped forward. He wore the patch of an Earthship that hadn't flown in 100 years. My name is Captain Drex, he said. I fought in the Resistance before we were erased. I never thought I'd see this again. Count me in. Others joined him. Some raised weapons, others raised fists. One alien kneeled and said, My people once betrayed yours. Let me now make right. Jack looked around. He wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a leader, but somehow they believed in him. He passed the source seed to a technician. Send this to every corner of the galaxy, not hidden, not encrypted. Open. Let everyone see the truth. The man nodded and got to work. Ariva turned to Jack. You just declared war. Jack looked up at the stars. No. I just gave people a reason to fight back. Suddenly, alarms rang across the moon base. A ship was falling from the sky, burning, spinning. It crash-landed just outside the shield dome. Jack and Ariva rushed to it. Inside, they found a single survivor, bloody, shaking, but alive, a Watcher. Fleet. 10 systems away, he gasped. They're wiping colonies. One by one, they're not hiding anymore. They're cleansing the galaxy. Jack helped him up. Then we hit back, now. They didn't have warships, they didn't have a fleet, but they had truth, and that was enough to light the fire. Jack stood before the crowd. We're going to the colony of Vareth. It's the next on the Watcher's path. They expect fear. They expect silence. He looked around, voice rising. Let's give them something else. Cheers broke out. Fighters loaded old weapons. Mechanics activated ships that hadn't flown in years. The rebellion was alive. The Windrunner led the way. Vareth was a peaceful planet with floating farms and sky cities. The people there had no army. But when Jack's ship arrived, they welcomed him with open arms. He warned them of what was coming. But instead of panic, they started preparing. Mothers handed out tools. Children spread the message. Old engineers activated defense satellites no one had touched in decades. And above it all, the source seed signal glowed in the skies. The Watchers arrived. Dark ships blotted out the stars. They expected to find a quiet world. Instead, they found light. The sky over Vareth lit up with fire and metal. Jack flew with other pilots, dodging shadow missiles, firing homemade railguns. Ariva sang through the comms, her voice guiding shield bursts and energy waves. Ships fell. Buildings shook. But something strange happened. Some of the Watcher ships hesitated, paused, slowed. The source seed had reached even their systems. One ship turned away. Then another. The Watchers were not all one mind. Some of them remembered too. Jack saw it and realized something. "We're not just fighting to survive," he said. "We're waking them up." Ariva nodded. "That's the real war. Not to kill the enemy, but to make them remember they were like us once." The battle raged for hours. By the end, Vareth still stood, scarred, but free. And above it, the stars carried a message. We remember, we resist, we rise. The galaxy was waking up. From the cold moons of the Zari cluster to the sunken cities of old Earth colonies, people were remembering. The Watchers had hidden the truth for centuries, but now the memories were spreading like a storm. The source. Seed had reached every corner of known space, and the Watchers were afraid. Jack and Ariva stood aboard the Windrunner, floating in deep space. Before them, a gathering like none in history had formed. Hundreds of ships, human, alien, even some once controlled by the Watchers, had come together. They called themselves the Unity Fleet. Jack looked out at the glowing command screen. "I still don't know why they chose me." Ariva smiled gently. "Because you didn't see me as small. You saw me as someone who mattered. That's where everything changed." Jack nodded. "I didn't save the galaxy. I just helped one person." She looked at him with quiet strength. And that was enough. The fleet moved toward the final target. The core of silence. A massive station hidden in a dead zone of space. It was where the Watchers controlled memory, where they erased truth and where the war had truly begun. As they neared, a message echoed across every ship. "Turn back." "Forget," Jack responded calmly. "No." The core of silence shimmered. Into view. It was not a weapon, it was a machine of forgetting. Waves pulsed from it, trying to blind thoughts, erase anger, crush rebellion. But now, too many remembered. The Unity Fleet charged. The battle was like nothing ever seen. Ships twisted through gravity storms. Fire lit the stars. And deep inside, the core, old codes began to fail. The source seed signal was breaking through. Jack and Ariva flew toward the center. Inside, the core's heart was protected by ancient machines, creatures of light and shadow. But they hesitated when Ariva stepped forward. She held out her hand. "You were once like us." One of the creatures paused, and then it bowed. The others stopped fighting. One by one, they stepped aside. Jack placed the source seed into the core's heart. Everything went silent. Then, light. A wave of golden memory burst outward, touching every corner of the galaxy. It carried the first stories, the lost names, the faces of those erased. It showed humans and aliens building together, dreaming together. The galaxy remembered. The core crumbled. The Watchers screamed and disappeared. Not killed, but unmade by the truth they could no longer control. Jack floated in silence, watching. It all. The war was over. Not because of weapons, but because truth won. Back on Vareth, people cheered. On Earth, the sky lit up with new stars, and across the galaxy, statues were built. Not for warriors, but for the forgotten, the ignored, the ones who had once been small. At the center of the new alliance, a small monument stood. It showed Ariva as she once was, quiet, unnoticed, and beside her the human who listened. The words below said, "He helped one and saved everyone." Years later, people would ask how the galaxy changed, and they would tell a story about a girl no one saw, about a human who didn't turn away, and about how one small act of kindness lit a fire the Watchers could never stop.